there's no going back.
Hello, people of the community. This is T3CH Corruption, president of IDF. But no one came here to listen to me say this kind of stuff, so I'm just going to move on to the main reason you're here. Joe. Now, everyone's expecting me to just bash on him because, well, I don't like him. But on a personal level, Joe isn't too awful of a guy. It's when you cross him that he turns into an asshole. Now, I know that in understanding Joe is a difficult thing to think of, but he can be a bearable person. It's his craving for power that really bothers me, and he isn't used to being second place, so he goes for first, which I completely relate to, but he is, simply put, a douche when he fears second place. The best way I can explain this is by telling a personal story that happened between Joe and I when I was in ACH. It all started after I made council rank, which in the same day I was leading ACH's ODST division. This guy joined the army and was kicked when his friend joined because he had an elite gamertag. Joe just kicked him thinking he was a spy because of his friend's gamertag. No council vote, no debate, he just kicked him and his friend out. He then came to me asking me to find him a way in because he really wanted in. I brought it up to the council, and the only person who said no was Joe. This then led to the friend also wanting to join. I brought it up, and he was voted in as well. But the only reason Joe let it happen is because I said I would watch them in ODSTs personally, because Joe would not have them in his army. Later on, one of their friends wanted to join, but Joe said no because his KD was negative 12,000. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, I somewhat understand, but the only reason Joe gave me was that it looked bad for ACH. Granted, it did, but this guy was good with vehicles. He didn't care about his KD at all, but he had wanted an ACH so bad, he went and created a new live account. He was working on it for a while when he decided to stop trying for ACH, but I've gotten ahead of myself. Ben the boss was the deciding vote in the argument, and he voted no for one reason. Joe said he would leave if this guy got into the clan, and Ben didn't believe we could survive without Joe. How ironic, because now it seems ACH can't survive with Joe. The score with arguments here now is Joe 1, Tech 2. The last argument was one that made me decide to start a clan. The spy, quote-unquote, who had been kicked out previously was in my game, and we were looking through maps, as him and I had become close. We got to a map titled ACH, made by none other than Sparten Joe 214. I started the game, and it was a map that was shown to me the other day by the spy that he had made in the previous clan. This frustrated him, and he messaged Joe to please not use his maps without asking first, and Joe flipped out. He invited me to the party and told me he was causing too many problems and was going to be kicked out. This pissed me off. I started arguing with him, telling him to calm down, and it was an overreaction. I finally got irritated and joined a different party. The key word here is party. I went to message Joe and found that I couldn't find him on my friends list. He sent out a message that my other friend told me said I left and the spy was kicked. I had gathered 14 ODSTs since I became Major Colonel, and within seconds Joe reduced it to 4 or 5. He kicked most of them and told everyone they left. This all happened as I was doing a training with my guys. This is also the point where Joe made ACH an empire. This is why I always say, yes, Emperor Joe, because Joe doesn't exactly like that title. The score now is Joe 2, Tech 2. One of my theories about why Joe hated the ODST division is because we were very successful, perhaps as much as his oh-so-perfect army. We would do arena battles in which army would trample ODSTs. That started changing, though, when I became lead. I'm not saying it was all me, but the past leaders just did nothing with the clan. I was more strict about trainings and other things relating to them. My theory is Joe didn't want anyone better than his army. The whole community. Joe also definitely plays favorites with the divisions. The army would mock the ODSTs to the point of near civil war, and Joe would do nothing. But the second my ODST said something about the army, I got the tech you need to control your men better bullshit. So of course I eventually got tired of it. For some odd reason, I rejoined, and it was hilarious how it happened. I was on ACH's boot camp with a friend, and he joined saying, "Go through it now or get off my map." So I breezed through it easily. Just my personal fuck you to Joe. I find it funny because I hated Joe before it was a community hobby. This is all coming from personal experience with Joe. I can tell many of you think the same thing about him, but trust me, he is much worse to work with for extended periods of time when you don't agree with him. I believe Joe should leave the community because all he ever does is piss people off. He makes ACH look like garbage, and the council is made up of Joe's little pets. I dare one of you not to be obedient for once. I guarantee you will end up as the mutt kicked off into the gutter. Stop being Joe's lapdogs. I almost guarantee Joe will watch this, and when he does, it will start shit. But if you don't like my opinion, go make a response video on it, or start a petition. You're good at that. This has been Tech Corruption. Have a great day.
There's no going back. Hey.